Hey, what's going on, Pojo? This is your boy Shad0wslayr.
This is Blackmarketyugioh
from Team Sentinel, and this is going to be our first segment of Deck Mechanix. As we posted on Pojo, you guys send in your deck ideas, your strategies, your deck profiles, anything that you might possibly need help on. We'll take a look at it and see what we can do to possibly help you in our new deck garage.
And we try to do it on the lowest budget possible because we do understand that not everybody has the money to spend on the expensive cards.
Tour cards!
Yeah.
Wait, they're reprinted.
And they're still expensive. Not everybody can afford $30 a pop on tour guides. But, either way, our first deck that we're going to do for our segment is from Turta Ade Kasuma, which sends us a 6-Sam build that wanted to know if we could make it a little bit more consistent and add a couple of cards that they like to play, which would be Effect Veilers and Fiendish Chains. Now, Shad0wslayr and myself both play Sams, have been long-time Sams players, have a lot of fun with this deck. We've played it since the days of old, and it's just a great consistent deck. If anybody's been paying attention, I believe this deck just won a WCQ somewhere else in the world.
Spain.
Yeah, that's right, in Spain. So, I mean, the deck is still very viable.
And he was main decking 2 Max Cs, which is weird.
Yeah, that was weird, 2 Max Cs. But, what you see right here is the deck profile that Turta sent us. And we see 3 Kagamushas, 3 Kazans, 2 Kajikis, 2 Elders, a Grandmaster, a Spirit, 1 legendary 6-Sam Inishi, a Squire, 1 Hand, and 1 Zanji. 3 Dojos, 3 Asceticisms, 3 6 Samurai Uniteds, 2 Shian Smoke Signal, 1 Gateway of the 6, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Dark Hole, and 1 Heavy Storm. For traps, we got 2 Musakanis, the Solemn Brigade, a Mirror Force, a Bottomless Strap Hole, Fiendish Chain.
And then the side deck, you got 3 Larvaly Warlords, 3 Shadow Imprisoning Mirror, 3 Mystical Space Typhoons, 3 Snowman Eaters, and 3 Smashing Grounds.
And then we get to the extra deck, 1 Shien, 1 Beast, 1 Barkin, which is standard, a Stardust Dragon, Scrap Dragon, Brio, Cadister, Armory Arm, Blade Armor Ninja, Leviath Dragon, Colossal Fighter, Utopia, Mistworm, Maestroke, and Black Rose.
And then their problem with it, as Black Market mentioned, is that can you help me reconstruct the deck if I want to put 2 Effect Veilers and add 2 more Fiendish Chains in it?
Now, here's what we have done.
Alright, so you got our email. And this is exactly what we have gone through, and we've helped make it a little bit more consistent. So let's go ahead and get started straight off. At a request, we did add in 1 more Fiendish Chain. 3 Fiendish Chains was a little bit unnecessary. You don't need 3. They're dead draws sometimes, and then they actually kind of lack the offensive power that 6 Samurais can throw out. 2 is more than enough for any deck. And
we also got in the 2 Effect Veilers, as you can see. So we'll go through the lineup here, and as you go through, you'll see the changes that we did make, even though they're small. Sam decks are pretty much all the same. Everything is just mostly your spell and trap lineups, to be honest with you. We did add the Effect Veilers and the Fiendish Chains, so we're still sitting on the 3 Kazans, the Inishi, the Zanji, 2 Kajikis instead of 3, the 1 Hand, 2 Elders, 3 Kagamushas, which DM's not wanting to cooperate with us tonight.
Not really.
The 1 Shien Squire, and then the 2 Effect Veilers. On the spells, I'm sorry. On the monsters, we lost the Grandmaster, we lost the Spirit. We just don't see the real need for that unless you're trying to up your synchro possibilities, which in today's meta, it's more about exceeding than it is synchroing.
Yeah. The downfall with Spirit is that Spirit might have been a great monsters for the 6 Samurais of old, but it's not really compatible with the 6 Samurais of new, because like in the old days,
Spirit.
Spirit, Grandmaster, and Shogun was your main opening play. You would attach it to Grandmaster. You would have a 26 and 25 beat stick. Nowadays, with them, with all the new 6 samurais that are out, Spirit is kind of one of the retired ones, as are many of the original 6 samurais. The only one that is actually seeing play nowadays is Zanji, and I'll explain why Zanji is seeing play here in a minute. We did opt to lose the Grandmaster. Grandmaster, by all means, is a great card. I myself, Shad0wslayr, I don't play Grandmaster because he just doesn't work for me, but Blackmarketyugioh does.
I main 2 in my version of Sam's, and I love the way it plays.
The version you're actually seeing right now is almost extremely similar to my build. Wasn't really aiming for that, but like we previously mentioned, a lot of the 6 samurai decks are going to be just about the same, just minus a few techs here and there of personal preferences, i.e. take Grandmaster for instance.
Yeah, there you go. Kicking your spells, we got the 2 smoke signals, of course, the 3 6-am Uniteds, of course, your staples, which are Reborn, Rhoda, Heavy Storm, and Gateway. Then you got your 3 asceticisms, your 3 dojos, and your 1 mind control.
Alright, but with that, we did take out the Dark Hole out of the spell lineup. Now, Turdo, if you're watching this, and I hope you are, the reason why we took out Dark Hole is because of the fact that this deck is meant to have such a massive field presence that you should be controlling the field no matter what. You don't want to be holding a Dark Hole that you cannot use later on in the match. I myself, I've completely taken out Dark Hole from my deck because of the fact that I never need it. Once you learn to abuse Anishi and you get Beast of Barking on the field, you have complete field control and advantage at that point, to the point that you don't have to worry about destroying your own monsters or getting past something that you don't see. With Anishi's bounce effect, you can get past almost anything that you possibly need to get past. So that's one of the biggest reasons why we decided to lose Dark Hole in this build, to try to help you see the advantages of not having the more destructive cards and the older staples in the deck that aren't really needed for all decks.
Right, whereas, once again, the difference between Shad0wslayr and my deck is I do play Dark Hole because I'm a more aggressive player. Hey, wouldn't you know, we talk too much.
Yes, that we do, but it's alright, I can go back to it, so continue on out.
Oh, jamming. Don't you just
intervention. Intermission. There we go. Alright.
We do like to have fun, guys, so, we're always up for pointers and stuff. Back on the spell lineup, asceticism is such a great card. In our local area, we really don't see a lot of Sam players, but the ones we do are not using asceticism to the full potential that we have learned that this card is capable of.
And we will get to that as soon as we get done with the deck list. So let's carry on with the traps.
Alright. We got in 1 double edge.
The main reason why we chose double edge, and we actually dropped the Mirror Force, once again the whole destruction, a whole field destruction advantage, card advantage. Double edge is such a great card in the deck that you don't have to worry about the downside of double edge, which is losing the life points at the enemy at the end of the turn. Because once you learn to abuse double edge to its full potential, you can bring back your tuners, you can bring back your non-tuners, you can bring back your 4 stars or 3 stars. That way you can exceed into them and make the deck even grow further. And not to mention, with double edge, you can always get that 1 counter on Gateway, 2 counters on Gateway, or 1 counter on 6 Samurai United. That's going to help you draw out more. And if you have asceticism in your hand, it just causes even more combos to go off the way.
Oh yeah.
But we did work in the 2 Fiendish Chains, 2 Solemn Judgments, 2 Solemn Warnings, sorry, I wish Solemn Judgment was still legal at 2, 1 Solemn Judgment. We went down to 1 Magatama. The main reason why we decided that we wanted to show you why 1 Magatama is more efficient than 2 is we understand that 2, Magatama is a great card. By all means, it's a great card. It's a Solemn Judgment for the deck. But once the deck starts spamming out the way the deck is meant to spam out, you're not always going to have that face-up 6 Samurai monster on the field. You're going to have other stuff. You're going to have your Beast, your Barking, you're going to have your Bryo, your Scrap Dragon, your Mistworm. So there's going to be opportunity there for your opponent to swoop in, and you're going to have a Magatama sitting there with no monsters. So where you go down on one of those, you might be able to upgrade to something else. Like we took out Magatama and a Double Edge. That way we could help fit in the spell and traps that we were showing you. And it just adds more play than it costs, because the last thing you need in a 6 Samurai deck is a dead card. If you pay close attention, every card in this deck has its purpose, and the whole point of the deck is teamwork. Everything can bounce off of each other, and we will get to the showing that in just a second. Now, for your side deck, we completely revamped it. What you had was a little bit out there. I mean, you had 3 Rivalry Warlords. I can understand that.
Great card.
3 Shattered Prison Mirrors. Great card. 3 MSTs. 2 is
Can't
more.
complain.
I mean, 2 sufficient. You have 3 Snowman Eaters and 3 Smashing Grounds. With Snowman Eaters, you don't really want to give up your monster slots that much. And with Smashing Grounds, well, let's show you what we did. We put in 2 Chain Disappearances. Why? Because 90% of the meta nowadays, the most powerful monsters that you're going to come against without priority, Rescue Rabbit and Tour Guide being, top 2, can get hit by Chain Disappearance. That means you can remove them from play and not have to worry about them later. Shadow and Prison Mirrors, you know why they're there. You already had them in your deck. We went up to 2 DD Crows. DD Crow can be used against anything. It's great against Chaos Dragons. It's great against Wind-Ups. It's great against Sectors. It's great against other 6 Samurai players. Machina Gadget. Machinas in general. It's just an all-around great card that you can activate at any given time. Basically, when your opponent goes to target the graveyard, which makes it, incredibly awesome.
I hate DD Crow.
Yep. We went 1 more Bottomless Trap Hole, just in case you wanted to, try to side one out. Prohibition.
Now, we threw in the 2 Prohibitions. I'm a big fan of this card. Played properly, Prohibition is absolutely devastating to any deck. Any deck in the meta right now has a certain combination of cards that you need to have to run off a certain combo. In Sectors, it's Centipede and Hornet. Wind-Ups is the whole Rat and Shark beginning. Sam's is also, your Kajiki Kagamusha, which you don't want a Prohibition in a mirror match. But it's just an all-around great card. And it can buy you that turn to let you draw one of the combos that you want to throw out. Then we got the 2 Rivalries instead of 3. 3 is a little much. 2 is great in both of our decks. When we do side them in, I usually end up siding out the Fiendish Chains and, like the Musukana and the Bottomless to throw in Rivalries and the Chain Disappearances and whatnot.
Also, another interesting fact, here lately I've gotten to the point where I took out Rivalries because of the fact it got to the point that I was focusing more on locking down the field with Beast, Barking, and your other 6 Samurai monsters. Once Rivalries flipped up, you're forced to choose. So if Rivalry doesn't work out properly, you can always go for Gozen Match and call Earth, which 90% of the new 6 Samurais are Earth, along with Beast and Barking. You can still continue to control the field. So Gozen Match and Rivalry are 2 of the most devastating cards that you can actually side in any deck.
Right. Then we have the 2 Fossil Dynas. Now this is Shad0wslayer's personal tech, whereas he uses Fossil Dynas. I side Debunks because I want to stop the Effect Veilers in the Maxis in the area that we have, but because we don't know your meta or your local area.
We have a lot of Chaos Dragons, so a face-down Fossil Dyna says no.
Right. Fossil Dyna is actually the better choice because it's more apt to work out in all areas whereas my Debunks just don't always get it. And then to round out the side deck, we threw in 2 Mysticals. If you come up against something that's spell and trap heavy, that adds up to what else you've got to stop your spell and traps.
Exactly.
Then your extra deck, we didn't change a whole lot in your extra deck.
We just made it a little bit faster.
Right.
We'll start with the Synchros. We took out the Armory Arm, the Colossal Fighter, and the Black Rose because of the fact that we're showing you the different aspects without Grandmaster. Your 7 stars aren't as viable as they normally would be. So if you want to put Black Rose back in, I completely understand, because you can go with, you can use it with the 5-rank Synchro any day of the week. But we use Shein, Canister, naturally. I don't use Canister. I use X-Saber Wayne, because I just found that since the entire deck's warrior anyway, it's going to allow me to get more counters on gateway and everything else, and it's a 2100 attacker, and a lot of things that I'm going up against now are dark anyways, like Chaos Dragons. Their big monsters are all dark, except for Light Pulsar. So either way it goes, that Red Eyes is still going to hit the field, and Canister is not really going to destroy it. So I decided to opt out and try to use X-Saber Wayne a little bit better. We did keep the Beast of Bark in, naturally. Debrio, naturally. Scrap Dragon, love the card, always have. Mistworm, it's so easy to make it with this deck, it's stupid. Still have the Utopia. We opted into Chaos 39 because of the mind control. It can easily devastate your opponent, and they're sitting there with a Utopia protect them. You can go mind control. You can use their own Utopia to go into your Utopia race, so it's going to leave them completely open for advantage. So you can still spam the field with what you need to get a free monster in the process. It's an all-around great card. And if your life points are 1,000 or lower, you can even use its attack. 2 Blade Armors. Blade Armor is just extremely easy to make in this deck. 2 is actually my personal preference because of how fast and how easy it is for me to go in the 2 Blade Armors. Leviathan Dragon. We did, however, get rid of Maestroke for
the Invoker.
X-Saber Invoker is a really great card. It's a 3-rank that's extremely easy to make in 6 Samurais, and allows you to special summon a level 4 Earth-type warrior or Beast Warrior from your deck in defense mode.
Now, basically, what Invoker does is it fuels a very
big OTK.
Yes, a very powerful OTK. That if the cards fall right, you sit down with an Invoker,
a Blade Armor,
and
a Keyzone with 2,500 attack points per game.
Right. It's a devastating combo. It happens in both of our decks a whole lot more than we originally thought it was when we found out about the OTK. Invoker is sort of like a staple for Sams, in my opinion. Now, one thing we did not add right now is Shadow from the upcoming Structure deck, just because his effect is great, but I just don't know right now how consistent he's going to be. Yes, we've both been tinkering around on DN, but we haven't seen the opportunity for his effect to be truly devastating in this deck.
Kageki's what makes his effect truly devastating.
Right.
Because with Shadow's ability, it changes any 6 Samurai monster's original attack points to 2,000.
3,000.
2,000.
2,000?
Yeah, 2,000.
Oh.
With Kageki on the field, Kageki's original attack points become 2,000. Since you already, automatically have Shadow on the field with Kageki, Kageki still gets his attack bonus. So therefore, he becomes the most powerful 6 Samurai monster on the field at 3,500 attack points.
True that. I forgot about the wording. My bad. And then, personal tech for Shad0wslayr is Giga Brilliant, which is it's an absolutely great card. I don't play it, but
you would if you had one.
This is true. You've got all mine. I don't care. You like it. It plays well for you. It very well may play well for you, Turtle. So give it a try. None of these cards that we've added or changed into your deck are expensive. We also added in Acid Golem. Acid Golem, it can be a plus or minus depending on how you play.
You just have to remember that it does have one giant downside. Once he's on the field, you cannot special summon, but if you use him to beat down your opponent and get Inishi on the field with another 6 Samurai monster, which isn't hard, you can use Inishi's effect to bounce him back to your extra deck, so you won't take the life point damage, and you don't have to. You can continue to special summon out the wazoo. Extremely easy to do.
Right.
Now, let's get into the actual why this deck is so vivid. As I mentioned earlier, Zanji is starting to come back into the 6 Samurai world. Now, many people were recently wondering, why is this card making such a huge impact that it once did? Well, it's all because of asceticism. You see, with most of the asceticism builds, a lot of the 6 Samurai players, what they lack to understand is that asceticism works for so much more than just 2 cards. You have Elder and you have Kagemusha. Yes, asceticism allows you, well, its exact wording is select 1 face-up 6 samurai monster you control. Special summon 1 6 samurai monster from your deck with a different name but equal attack to the selected monster. During the end phase, destroy that monster. Okay. Well, a lot of 6 samurai players, they just use Elder and Kagemusha because they're the easiest ones to get off and they fuel your 5-rank synchros. That's 2. Well, if you have Kizan on the field opening turn and his attack points haven't been boosted yet, you can activate asceticism and bring out Zanji. So that would mean that further fuels your 4 ranks, your ability to add counters to your Gateway or your 6 Samurai United, and it's going to give you the field presence that you also need. But what a lot of people don't realize is that Enishi is one of the most powerful cards in this deck right now because of how easy he is to abuse. Because you know, okay, opening turn, you go Kageki Kagemusha. Alright? Kageki is automatically at 1700. So if you already have field presence there, your opponent has, say, a Zen Mines or something you need to get off the field, you can synchro into Shien. Shien's going to be at 2500. Oh, before you do that, sorry. You can synchro into Shien, he'll be at 2500, but before you do that, if you have asceticism in your hand, you can target your Kageki. He's at 1700, so therefore he can bring out Enishi. Once you synchro with Kageki and Kagemusha for Shien, that's going to give you 2 monsters in your graveyard to bounce their big monster off the field, and you're going to have at least 4200 damage on the field in the process.
Now the other thing with asceticism is in this build running Zanji, you can have a Zanji and asceticism in your hand, and that's all you need.
Blade armor.
Well, you can go summon Zanji, asceticism Zanji to bring out a Kazan. Now in my build with me running Grandmasters, asceticism plays another way. I get something else. You know, I go Kajiki, Kagemusha, and Kazan. Kazan becomes a 2100. Guess what? I can asceticism for a Grandmaster. The possibilities are really so much bigger than what most people think of with just the whole Kagemusha and Elder combos, as Shad0wslayr says with Kajiki and Enishi, and then furthermore with me being with the Zanji, Kazan, and then the Kazan and Grandmaster.
Which, I'll be honest, the only reason why I don't like Grandmaster is for the reason that I can't use it to exceed. That's why. Because you can't play 2 Grandmasters on the field at the same time.
This is true.
It don't work like that, and it's rare that your opponent's going to have a 5-star in the field that you can suck up.
Right.
They might have a 5 rank on the field that you can suck up, but not really a 5-star anymore. So that's the reason why I namely took Grandmaster out of my build.
Right. Which is understandable, and you know, we both respect each other's builds. We both.
You're great with yours.
Yeah, and you are too. Turtle, you've got a great deck already. We tried to do what you asked. Added in 1 Finish Chain instead of the 2 that you wanted. We did get the 2 Effect Veilers in. Basically what we did for you is we just streamlined the deck a little bit for you. This build is super consistent. I will say that this version, which my brother Shad0wslayr plays, is a little bit more consistent than mine because I do play the Grandmasters. I love the Grandmasters because I play a different extra deck, which I play the big 10-star synchro Allied Justice Decisive Armor because I do see a lot of light decks, and Decisive Armor is just completely chaotic against light decks. But this build, revamping your deck to this way is cheap. You're not going to spend, you know, I would say not over 30 or 40 bucks to change this, which I think is great in trying to make a deck better, whereas some people will spend hundreds upon hundreds of dollars in order to make a deck better. This deck is super consistent no matter how you play it, but we believe that this version is so much faster and more consistent.
Okay, one more thing. We mentioned the OTK. I'm pretty sure, you might not know what it is with Invokers, so let me go ahead and explain it to you. Basically, all you need is Gateway. Alright? As long as you get any of your 3 stars or Smoke Signal, you can automatically start the OTK. Alright? The ideal hand And it's easy to do. If your opponent don't have any back rows or you have heavy storm, clear the field off. If they have have a pesky monster that you can mind control and you actually open with it, take control of it, especially if it's a 3-star. But in order to get, in order for the OTK to be possible, is you need Gateway. What Gateway does is that once you combine it with Kageki and another 3-star, say Elder, you automatically have your your 3 rank. Alright, with Gateway on the field, that's going to give you 4 counters. You go for
Invoker.
Use
Invoker's effect to bring out a Kazan.
That's going to give you 6 counters. You take off 4 counters for
another Kazan.
Another Kazan to add to your hand for your deck. Then you special summon that Kazan. That's going to give you 4 more counters because the 2 you had left over plus the 2 from Kazan. That's 4. So you take those 4 to add another Kazan from your deck to your hand. Special summon that guy. Then you overlay for Blade Armor. And there you have a 16, an 18, and a 22 that can attack twice. And that is a 1-turn kill that 6 Samurais can throw off. Right. It is extremely... It's actually a lot more consistent than I thought it was going to be with Gateway just at 1, but you open up with Gateway, you will most likely be able to do it every single time.
Correct.
I do it a lot.
Turtle, we hope you enjoyed this. Hope that you liked that we made this our first segment for Deck Mechanix.
And by all means, check out our other decks on YouTube. Check out all of our deck profiles. We'll be uploading more, and all of the Deck Mechanix will be found there along with Pojo. So just by all means, if you have any questions, you want to send us your deck ideas, your deck strategies, anything you might want to add, or hey, if you want to be on Deck Mechanix yourself, by all means, send us all of it. You know our email is teamsentinel1, the number 1,
at yahoo.com.
Easy to get a hold of us. It's located right in the introduction page of Deck Mechanix. And stop by our YouTube channel, youtube.com/teamsentinel. Very easy to find. You'll find out more about us and see the decks that we take to our locals and how, we'll try to explain a little bit more further detail on how we play them. But this is by far the best one that we can start off with. Turtle, I want to thank you for sending in one of my favorite decks.
Yes, sir.
And I hope you kind of see where we're coming from and how to help you play this deck a lot better and how to make it more consistent, because that's what we're here for. We want to do this for you guys, that way we can help support the game, because remember, you're either going to play hard or you're going to go home.
That's right. This is Blackmarketyugioh,
Shad0wslayr
of Team Sentinel.
We will see y'all. Go ahead.
Y'all have a good night.
And we will see y'all next week with next week's episode. So send in your email. Yeah, next week. What we're talking about. That's an inside joke. I'll get to that later. But we'll see you guys next week. So make sure to send in the emails with your deck ideas and deck profiles. We, by all means, will give you all the suggestions we can. So you might be featured next week on Deck Mechanix. Until then, we're out.
Later.